the Lions Pride of Jozi Rugby podcast with Clinton Scott.
Evening everyone, Clinton Scott here from Lions Pride of Jozi page in collaboration with MEGAFOON Sport, where we talk rugby and Lions rugby in particular. And yeah, what a great time it is to be a Lions supporter. I think as a union we've been starved of success for quite some time, but the Lions, specifically in the URC in the last 2 seasons, have started showing glimpses and promises of the team that played under Ackerman. But what's very pleasing as well is that we came through a very good Currie Cup season, having won 10 out of 12 games and falling over the final hurdle in the final against the Sharks in those dying seconds. Could have been a trophy that could have been standing in Ellis Park, but we move on, that's history. A lot of supporters felt that the Lions might have taken a massive knock in that final and would be difficult for them to pick themselves up for the Ulster game. But Cash did mention in the week, building up to the game, that there were no bad vibes in the camp, there was no mental block, they just went about their daily routine. They all knew what was expected of them. And when they ran out of that tunnel on Saturday, you could just see their body language was right. We scored some breathtaking tries, 5 of them in total. And that's the type of rugby that we are used to. It was scorching conditions on Saturday in Joburg compared to the rainy conditions a week before that in the final. But that didn't affect the Lions. They just turned up the heat in more ways than one. And yeah, we scored some really, really good tries. It was great to see the likes of a Frankie Hornback, Henko van Wyk scoring a try off the bench and returning after long-term injury. Erich Cronje back in the mix, PJ Boerta, Reinhard Notnagel. And yeah, obviously a lot of our Currie Cup players, they put up their hands, were given a go in this game because of their good performances and due to some injuries. The likes of Tapia Mafura, Renzo Duplessis, who's on fire at the moment, Jared Keynes, Siba Koma. Yeah, so it was great seeing those guys in the mix, Nico Steyn. And we'll see a lot more of them going forward. On the positive side as well, though, it's good to see that Richard Kriel and Edwin van der Merwe have been cleared fit. Marius Lowe and JC Pretorius, who missed out on the Ulster game due to niggles, have returned and they're ready for selection. And then obviously the return of Morne van der Berg coming back from the Springboks. He would have gained a lot of knowledge in that Springbok camp that he can bring back to the Lions. So it's pretty exciting. We've got some seasoned campaigners back in the mix. Mixed with some Currie Cup players, new signings, so it's looking good. We will definitely face an Edinburgh side that's going to be charged up. They have just had 2 narrow defeats against Leinster and the Bulls. We all know what they're capable of. They have run about 12 international players in that side that play for Scotland, so they know what it is about. Having said that, we have played against them 3 times in the URC. We've beaten them twice. We lost against them once, which was last year. Narrow defeat, which I felt was due to a missed kick in that game. In Edinburgh, had we got that kick over, we would have beaten them 3 out of 3 times. But it's vital for the Lions to stay on the horse, keep the pressure on, and ensure that we go for another 5-point bonus victory against Edinburgh. It's our home ground. We need to ensure that we make Ellis Park a fortress again. And it will give us a lot of motivation and confidence if we can bag another bonus point win going on tour. Because when we go on tour, we've playing 4 teams. We start off with a game against the Dragons, who are normally like your cellar dwellers, you know, in this competition, but no team can be taken lightly on any given day. Then after that, we come against Zebra, who have never really put major fear into opposition, but there have been some games that they've been good in, and particularly the one that they just played against Munster last week. They shocked the URC with that victory over Munster. So we'll have to be very, very careful for them as well. And then obviously we come against big guns the weeks after that, against Leinster. Doesn't get easier, and then Munster. So if the Lions can at least try and get 3 out of 4 wins on this tour, it will really set them up nicely for the rest of the season and obviously for a chase in the playoffs. The Lions, having missed out on the playoffs twice narrowly in these last 2 seasons, are hell-bent on getting there this time. Cash actually went as far as saying that they are setting their targets and goals very high. They're looking at a top 4 finish, which might seem a little bit over-optimistic from a lot of neutral people, but rather aim higher, and then even if your mark hits a bit lower, you've aimed high. So I definitely think without a doubt the Lions are capable of reaching the knockouts in the top 8. They could possibly end top 7, top 6 this season. Who knows what happens, but they just need to stick to their structures, keep ball in hand, read the game well. When it requires kicking, then kick. If not, then just stick to Lions DNA of running rugby. We'll have some torrid weather conditions, as we know, abroad, but I think we played pretty well in the wet conditions last week against the Sharks, so that's also a good prep that we had in that game for going forward. It's very exciting as well that all these injured players are returning. On the downside, though, we obviously do have some injuries that we picked up against Ulster. Ruan Fenter, who always gives 110% in any game, seems to have a shoulder injury, so he's going to be out for some time. Morgan O'Dear has either an ankle or a foot injury, so he could be out for like 6 weeks plus. Moana Brandon has also picked up an injury. And yeah, so we need to just wait to hear from the team doctor as to the length of time that they will be sidelined. But I think it's a good thing now that we have built up a lot of depth with our Currie Cup side. Where in the past, if any of our top players were injured, we'd be scurrying around trying to fill those gaps. But we've got great depth now in most of our positions. But we wish all those players a speedy recovery. Having a Ruan Fenter in your team is a plus any day. So we really, really hope he recovers well, and that when we do get back from our tour, those injured players will all be ready and fired up to take the season further. So I think we are in a good space, guys. Let's just keep on supporting this team. Let's back them. They are there. They are so focused to succeed. And they said time and time again that it means so much for them when the supporters are behind them, especially when the supporters are in person at Ellis Park. So I think we owe it to them to get to the park again. There's certain reasons why certain people don't go to the park, but I mean, when your team's playing running rugby like this, there should be no excuse, especially for the people that are in the Joburg area. Get down there, get to the games, support them. I'm definitely going to make sure that I get to some of those home games when they get back. And yeah, we should really just stick to our team and be there for them in every way. So I believe that the Lions will want to push for the knockouts, and they are capable of doing this. And that will be great if we qualify for the knockouts, because then you've got the carrot dangling of the Champions Cup qualification. So we'll be playing against really, really tough sides should we qualify for the URC knockouts and then get into the Champions Cup.
The Lions Pride of Jozi Rugby podcast with Clinton Scott.